Hey, everybody. Today on the AgentXcel podcast, we have our guests, Brandon and Mary Snyder. What's up, guys?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for joining. So I've been seeing you guys at a lot of the masterminds that I attend. And I also follow you guys on social, and I just see that you guys are moving and shaking. So I figured let's get you guys on the show, and I want people to hear your story. And more importantly, I want to hear it as well, just to see how everybody can learn. So as we start this out, if you guys could just, in either order, you guys can both chime in or whoever knows the story best, but what got you guys into real estate? What was the thing that sparked getting your license? And then just how long have you guys been doing real estate? What's the production look like over the years and things like that?
So I think the question of how we got into it, we have no idea. It just happens for us, and we talk about it all the time. And it was like a fluke. Like, we got a job working for a photography company that was a real estate photography company, and we kind of liked the taste of real estate. But like, I never imagined I'd be in real estate. He never imagined he'd be in real estate. And like every day, someone's like, "Oh, how'd you get into real estate?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure. We're here. We don't know how we got here." So, but I mean, we're incredibly blessed. We've sold over 100 homes in the 2.5 years that we've been doing it as brand new agents. And
oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, we give back a lot, and that's kind of our thing is we pour into people and we give away just as much as we get. And that's kind of our business model too. Like, we're not really in real estate for the money either. And some people are like, "Oh my gosh, you're lying." And it's like, no, like look at like our giving statement for the year. Like, it's pretty good. So, I mean, we love it. It just it was like a fluke. It just happened. But, we kind of just see this repeating pattern of people being like, "Oh, hey, I see all this great stuff you're doing. I'm thinking about selling my house." And that's almost how 8 out of the 10 conversations start is they text Brandon, because my sphere is like, it doesn't exist. I think I sold a house to one friend in the 2.5 years we've been doing this, and most of it's his sphere. And they'll message him and be like, "Hey, I see all this great stuff you're doing. Like, I was thinking about buying or selling a house." And then it just kind of spirals from there.
She says that, and then like she helped sell a house to a friend in San Antonio back when we were on a team together, and
that didn't count.
And then she helped another high school friend come out here. We got them a rental, and now they're going to buy. So Mary's a lot better with her sphere than she thinks. But I used to wholesale. I was not very good at it. I worked for a wholesaler, and he owned a skip tracing company and a wholesaling company. So he was more involved in a skip tracing company. And before that, we used to work for a real estate marketing company. So I was a sales manager. I would handle the accounts and get new clients for photos, videos, and signs. And Mary was the admin there. At one point, she was the lead admin. And we worked really well together. We've always worked well together. Like, we literally met waiting tables together, and, we were the top wine salespeople, and then we went and did our own thing and then came back and worked together. I mean, we've always basically worked together. So when we decided to get into real estate, so Mary went to go work for, and I guess you can tell it, honey, sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. Go ahead.
No, Mary started out at Keller Williams. She was the executive assistant to I don't know, $15-20 million a year producer, which, is pretty good. That's good money. He's been in the industry, used to be in Gary Keller's top 20 and whatever, top 100 or whatever that is. And so, it was a decent role. And she had to kind of build systems and processes from the ground up, because the person that she was replacing just up and left. And then I joined the team. I actually had started a marketing agency in between wholesaling and other things. And I went in to offer contract services, and he was like, "Well, let's do a KPA. I want to hire you." And I was like, "Okay." And so things just kind of went south from there. There was some issues, and I won't divulge too much into that. But we decided that we had to get licensed anyway. That was a requirement from him, for her to have certain real estate conversations and for me to be an ISA, basically. So 3 days before the state shut down, we passed our licensing exams. And
so you guys are like COVID realtors.
Oh yeah.
And then 2 days after we got our licenses, he let us go.
Oh, wow.
And then we went and we're like, "Oh my God, what are we going to do?" Because COVID just started, and we're thinking the exact opposite of what's going to happen because, that's what everybody thought. And then we just went and joined a couple different teams. She was working for the team leader's team, and I was working with another team. And after about 3 months, we were like, why are we doing this separately? Like, I suck at contracts. She sucks at getting business. Why don't we just combine forces? And why are we paying other people half of our money? And we ended up coming together. And from June to December of 2020, we did 17 units. And then last year, just us, we sold 34 homes. And with 2 agents now, we're tracking 70 homes this year.
So when you guys got licensed, did you guys write down a game plan on what you wanted to do, or did that business just come in? Like, was there a proactive strategy, or
No.
did you tell, I mean, you had to tell the world somehow that you were selling real estate, right? Or was that just through social or?
I mean, and literally just until about recently, we've just been winging it. I mean, Brandon would post on Facebook and be like, hey, like I'm in real estate. Like, we weren't like doing a lot of the stuff like a lot of realtors. You're like, hey, I got my license, use me, whatever. We were just kind of like telling our friends and then like posting a little bit on social media. I mean, I've been posting a little bit more than him because I had technically been in real estate longer than him, because when I was working for that agent, I worked for him for about 10 months before Brandon came over.
Okay.
But by the time that we did our own team thing, people kind of already knew, because it had been about a total of like a year and a half, right? Of us just like doing real estate stuff, right? So by the time we went, he would make some posts, but not like a lot. And we didn't like do socials or anything. It was just kind of like, hey, like we're doing this thing, like,
Open houses were a big part of the beginning early on.
Yeah.
Like, my first open house that I ever did, we helped them build a house in our neighborhood now that we live in. We built in this neighborhood because our clients built there. So, I mean, our very first open house turned into business. And one of the things that was really important to me was I literally, the team that I joined, like during the fear, scarcity mindset era of our business, I joined a team that was very script heavy. And it just wasn't me. I used to sell cars, right?
Sure.
So I come from, oh my God, like I hate talking to people and feeling like a scumbag. So I didn't want to do that, especially when it came to FSBOs expires. I did the Ben Kinney 1,000 Barrel Challenge. I did all these things and I was like, this is not how I want to run a business. And I said, this might be naive, but I just don't think this is the way we're going to do it. So like my very first open house, I wanted to build trust. The people that walked in the door, and this was like peak COVID. So I was like, hey guys, feel free to walk around. I'm going to keep my distance. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to ask. I said, by the way, I've created a property website that you can give to your agent. They didn't have an agent.
Right.
And I knew at that moment when they said, oh, we don't have an agent, I said, this is the way I'm going to sell real estate.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I think that's cool that you came in and decided which way you wanted to do it. I mean, I was the same way 17 years ago when I started. I'm just very introverted. So I wasn't going to get on the phone and call people. So I had to almost build a plan that worked around my skill set or my personality, I should say. And I had many people that almost told me like, hey, you're not going to make it just because you're introverted. And I'm like, challenge accepted. So I think that's cool, that you decided, hey, I did this style of business and nothing wrong with it. Right. Nothing wrong with it. I think it's just cool when people find like what their personality is. And that's really why I like to do this podcast, because I'm finding as I bring on more and more people, my goal is that people can relate to, hey, there's, people that like to get business through open houses. There's some that like to call 500 people a day. There's people that like to go door knock, and we're all just wired differently. And the greatest part about real estate is no one can stop you, like if that's the way you want to get your business, that you can succeed anyway. How have you guys worked this, being married? My wife and I, we also run our team and we're married. What do you guys find? Is there different roles that you're better at, or do you guys sit down and decide what you guys do? Or is that just all over the map?
I mean, mostly we have different roles. Brandon's not like you where he won't stay out of my lane. So like the idea is like Brandon gets the business, and then once we have a contract, whether that be a listing contract, like of us, like representing the seller, or a buyer, he's supposed to walk away.
Okay.
Supposed to. So then basically from contract to close, I take over. So
Okay.
I'm a lot of the like your wife, I'm a lot of the behind the scenes contracts, things like that. And then he's all of the, because like I said, his sphere is like 3 times as big as mine. And so it's his job to bring the business, to do the social media, to do all that. And then my job is just to do everything from, contract to close. And then actually a little further, because I do a lot of client care. So I spend a lot of time pouring into our clients. Because I mean, almost all of our clients are either friends or referrals. We're a completely referral based business. We've never paid for a single lead. And we probably won't if we keep up. But I spent a lot of time just like, it's like we had one client yesterday that posted something on her Facebook. She's like, oh, I'm going back to school. She's a teacher and she made a wish list. So I was like, oh, perfect. I'm gonna pop on there and I'm gonna buy her a few things for her classroom. Not because I'm like, oh yeah, I want her to see me, but because we just do that for our clients. Because like, all right, you're a client, you need something. It's not real estate related, but it doesn't matter because once we represent them, we tell them like you're a part of the SSG family, and that's kind of how we are. I mean, we've only had like 5 transactions. Everyone else we are friends with almost every single one of our clients, and we talk to them on a monthly basis.
So do you guys have any systematized way that you guys keep up with your past clients? I know because I know you guys say I know you say it's kind of willy-nilly. I've heard that just by us even talking before we started recording. And
yeah.
I also say that a lot too. And my wife's like, when you teach classes, you say a lot of things where it's like, oh, we don't have a lot of systems. And then, then I come into my office some days and I'm like, wait, we have a lot of systems. I think we incrementally, we built them over 17 years and they all seem very small. But then as 17 years is compounded, we're like, no, like if someone came in here right now, they'd be like, whoa, this is very systematized. So I feel like it's kind of a, and I think it's like a self-judgment. They're like, oh, well, we could be doing a lot better is what I'm really trying to say.
We do. Okay. So here's a perfect example of,
if I died tomorrow, you would be screwed.
Well, yeah, but when it comes to past clients, I think we have a really good system. So we were talking to some friends last night. We were out to dinner with some other real estate friends. And we said, hey, like, what does your client event process look like? Like, oh, we don't really have one. And I'm like, okay, so that's a problem. Our first full year was last year. We did 4 Popeyes and a baseball game. This year we did a spring picnic in the park with family pictures. We did Amazon gifts. Like we now, mind you, once we have a VA in place for this, Mary won't spend 3 days doing it, but it was still great because she was able to send gifts. And then, it was like $10, $15 gifts, whatever. And then we did a baseball game again this year. We did it at the same ballpark. We rented out a different location at the ballpark. And one of our clients got to throw out the first pitch, which was super memorable for them. And then we'll do, 2 holiday things, something near Thanksgiving, something near Christmas. So when it comes to past clients, like they know, at least our clients from last year know to expect something this year. Because we've ingrained that with them that like, hey, we're going to continue to love on you. Like Mary puts all of the birthdays on our Google Calendar so we don't forget. And, I think I saw Saturday is one of our clients' kids' birthday, right? Those are the types of things that we have in place to make sure that we're getting enough touches in every year. Because you'd be surprised, like when we talk to more and more people, they're like, yeah, I don't do that. And our coach even got on us. We hired a coach and she said, your database is anemic. She said, how do you not have your clients in here? She said, if you're going to sell 70 homes with your database looking like this, imagine what happens when it's actually in place and automated. So, I think Chris is absolutely right. Like we have systems in place in some areas, but not all of our.
Mary, that's a system. You just said baseball games, gifts. I mean, I
feel like we're really sloppy though, because like I said, like we've been winging it for so long, and so now we're in this market where it's shifted. So now we're like, oh crap, like we actually have to sit down and like fine tune a lot of the details. And our coach is like, oh, you don't do that, and we're like, no, should we? And like because we got our license during the COVID market, right? So like we know nothing but like sell, right? Yeah. And so now we're at this point, we're like, all right, you have all this time on your hands, like figure out your systems and your processes, and we're like, yeah, I don't know. We just made this much money because it was easy. Like, and it wasn't like we worked really hard, but also like, we're like, oh crap. Like now we have to do, cause like we have those systems, but I feel like we take a very millennial approach. Like I text our clients, like just randomly like, oh, hey, whatever. And it's like, I don't know. a lot of agents that just like randomly text their clients on like their kids' birthdays or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh yeah, it's easy. And it is easy, right? To just be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna text them happy birthday. But to them, it's huge, right? Like, oh my God, like they remembered that. But for me, I'm over here like sitting watching TikToks on a Saturday night, like, oh, it's so-and-so's wedding anniversary, and like text them. So I feel like we don't have systems, but that's because I'm very type A, and I'm like, it needs to look like this, right? And he's like, yeah, we got systems, we do cool things. And I'm like,
this is
sure.
what my systems look like.
But that's cool. I mean, I'm really stoked that you guys are talking about like how, Mary, how you're getting the referrals. I mean, that's exactly how I teach a class called Build Your Network, Build Your Net Worth. And it's a 2.5 hour class, and it's legitimately sitting there. And I'm like, hey, send cards out with Starbucks gift cards and send text send text on their birthdays. And every quarter we print off our past client list, and we divide out we divide it out by 60, because that's about how many business days are in the quarter. And so every day when we come in, it's like just text that many people a day and highlight them as you text them. And so it seems I think sometimes for us, we're almost shocked at how much business you can get from it being so simple. Yeah. And you're looking at these other people, you're like, man, you call 500 people a day every day to get your business. And then you guys are over here just like you said, watching a TikTok while you're texting someone and saying happy birthday to their kid. And I think that's the power for people listening, that like you and I run kind of the same model. And it's the power of how when you can get referrals from people, it seems so much simpler, because you're not having to do so many dials. You're not having to build the trust. The trust is already there. So if you can just keep up with like their important stuff that's in their life, like that's all that really matters to them, is the important stuff in their life. And it sounds like you do
100%.
very systematically.
And I think that's a big benefit of the COVID market. I've been on a couple other podcasts and talking to people. They're like, hey, like since you just got in, 2.5 years ago, whatever, what would you tell first time agents? So we took advantage, obviously, and ran with it, but that gave us we didn't have to call FSBOs and expires, because there really weren't any during the COVID market. Right. So we built this network of people that trusted us to do it again and again. We've had repeat clients already 2.5 years into it. So that's amazing. And we're so blessed by that. God has done incredible things with our business, but I point back to the beginning, is like these people, and we love them to death and their family, but they're loyal. I see a lot of people post, well, my friend went to this other agent, and I'm like, man, when was the last time you talked to that person? When was the last time you called them or sent them something? I mean, we actually had this happen this year where a past client went to sell their house with like 2 different agents, 2 different EXP agents instead of us. And we were just like, all right, okay, we brought them a pie. We've talked to them multiple times, but where did I go wrong in not following up with them and not loving on them enough to make them feel like they could trust us again? So we're learning those things. It's not all some sunflowers and rainbows. There's been some grit and some things that have happened.
So
and what? Yeah,
okay.
No, keep going, Mary.
Okay, so there was one time when we got a client. This was last year, and we met them at an event. We did a sponsorship event, and we met them at an event, and they wanted to sell their house in Richmond. And they invited us over for dinner, and like got us. It was the wild.
Our listing consultation was a dinner. It was great.
It was dinner with like they got us drunk. It was the wildest thing, right? Really nice couple in their 50s, super great. We still talk to them to this day. We've done multiple transactions with them. So we went over to their house and we're talking to them about it, and they're like, yeah, when we bought this house, we had this agent, and they started talking about him, and I'm starting to get this weird feeling, and I'm like, what was your agent's name? And it was the guy who hired us when we started real estate. And the guy has the worst people skills in the entire world. Like Brandon would set up listing appointments, like 10, and he'd come back with 1, right? Worst people skills. And we were like, oh my God. And mind you, he was a top producer. We were still fairly, babies in real estate. And we got this listing and we killed it. And we sold them a house. We sold their daughter a house. We sold their daughter's other house. And we just have all this business. And we're like, he's an incredible realtor on paper, right? But like, what was he not doing that we did? Like, they literally texted us after we sold the daughter's house 3 days later, hey, we're looking at some more land. And we're like, this is wild. Like, we met you at a cornhole tournament. We spent $400 to be there. You had a realtor who is by far more experienced than us, but they continue to call us because we pour into them and we text them and we're like, hey, like there's this thing, or hey, we sent you this gift or whatever.
I want to add that as the ISA, technically that was my role within the team. I just for the record, when you have a database of 20,000 people plus, it's really hard to follow up with every single past client because you don't know who your past clients are. And that's not a dig, but just when you've been in the business long enough in your day, Fred talked about this in Vegas. He said, I had to commit bankruptcy on my database and go back to my top 125 or top 25 or whatever. And it was like, wow, like that, as our database right now is only past clients and like leads that have come in that have kind of fallen through, like whatever, I've gotten a referral from their EXP agent or whatever. So it was really interesting to hear that from them. And I guess we should asterisk next to, we don't pay for leads. We have sponsored a few events. We have a banner up at a high school nearby. Very little stuff that we spend money on. We run a very lean ship, and that's on purpose because I'd much rather spend $400 on gifts for our clients than go spend $400 to, just go sponsor an event and not get in front of anybody.
You guys prove right now that like the relationship is what matters more than the transaction. And I say that so lightly, but seriously. And so whenever I started real estate, I always said, I want to be the cool guy that sells real estate. And I always wanted to have the relationship with people because I found out, like when I got into real estate when I was 22, and I was like, wait, there's all these realtors that are advertising on the radio and billboards, meaning like they're probably better at selling real estate than me. But how does anybody ever cut their teeth in real estate if there's always the best? And then that's when I really looked at it and I said, how am I going to build a company if there's already the best out there? And that's when I realized like there's still something to be said about relationships. And that doesn't mean you can be terrible, right? But you still, at the moment when you start, you could probably not be the best realtor and have a really good relationship with somebody and they still want to work with you more. And then I think as that builds, what's really cool is you guys will see over the years is as you're like the best out there and you keep the model of being like the best relationships, it'll scale for you guys. So
Show
great.
You real quick. Our tagline is real relationships, real estate. It's been like that since the beginning. And we were talking last night with someone and we said, hey, like when we hire, I'm not hiring someone based on, now mind you, the sales team is my team, right? Just like you're in production. So when I'm hiring agents, at the end of the day, if I make the final decision, it's not on their sales skills. Man, this is just who I am, but I don't believe that I want a ton of killer salespeople on my team. I want people who are going to go fight for their clients, dig up their sleeves and go be in relationship with them. I can take someone who can go sell, and we have our two team members. One of them joined us last year. He's going to sell probably about 16 homes this year.
Wow.
And I think he sold 6 in a total of 2 years when he was about 3 or 4. I don't know. Mary knows the numbers, but he came out of a shell. And our newest agent that we just brought on, she went from not selling any homes for 3 months. She's put 2 under contract in 3 weeks. So, obviously they're good at good at sales to an extent, but I didn't need them to be great at sales. I needed them to be great at being people and authentic.
What's your guys' value proposition for agents that join your team? Because, a lot of teams out there, it's like, hey, here's all these leads. If you guys are the referral based company, what's the value proposition when they want to join?
I mean, go ahead.
Go ahead, dude.
We still give them leads, but they're not, 90% of our leads are like warm or hot transfers. They're not like, oh, here's a lead we got from Zillow, right? So like we're still giving them leads. But the biggest thing right now, and we have a few things we're going to be adding to our team in the next couple of months. But right now, one of the biggest things we're just giving them is attention and pouring into them. Like, and it sounds like, are you serious? Like that's what we're doing? No, 100%. Because our first buyer's agent, we absolutely love him. And he knows this. So if he watches this, it won't be a big deal. He was really insecure in himself in real estate. Right. And I had a phone call with him one time and I'm in my really ugly old green Kia Soul. I'm like screaming at him on the phone. And I'm like, you are great. You are going to effing kill it. Like go out there and get them under contract. And that night he went and he got them under contract. And from that moment and one other moment with Brandon, I mean, he's completely changed. And then, our other agent, she something really bad happened to her within 2 days of us hiring her. And we were like, oh crap, like she's not coming back, like she's done. And something really bad happened to her on a Monday. And by Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., she texted me and she's like, that was the worst thing to ever happen to me in my life. I'm ready. Let's go. And we just pour into her, and she's incredible. I mean, we will have other things for them. Right now, we give them leads, but our biggest basis is literally, again, just relationships and pouring into them and grabbing these agents that are struggling. And what did they say last night? What did they tell us? Don't do something. I don't know. Someone told us last night, like, don't do all the weeping hearts or something. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't know.
I think for us, like that's it, right? Because we have empathy. We've been there. We know what it's like. I think I heard you talk about it earlier, Chris. We're believers. Jesus didn't go out and say, hey, go do this and that's good enough. He said, hey, go be fishers of men. Right. And so I was explaining, somebody asked us, man, it's funny. Somebody asked us last night, hey, what's your value prop for agents joining your team? And I said, I'm going to teach them how to fish for business. Our branding, I believe that our branding is good enough to where I can teach it to people. I'm actually developing a course to teach it to other agents and business owners. But that to me, if you join my team and you have no idea what social media looks like, you have no idea what branding looks like, I'm going to teach you how to go brand yourself. And I told my agents yesterday in our team meeting, I said, hey, I am going to get you guys a VA to do your social media, but first you have to prove to me that you're capable of doing it yourself. So right now they're on a 30-day challenge. So they have to post on social media every day for 30 days. And then we're going to take them to insert redacted restaurant here, because it's still a spoiler to them. And if they hear this, I don't want them to know, but it's really nice. It's going to be a really nice dinner. And that's just for them posting on social media for 30 days. But what happened immediately is they started posting about real estate. They did a mix of personal and real estate, and people started commenting. Like our second agent, Beverly, she posted about new construction, and like somebody engaged with that. She was able to have a real estate conversation, right? So I want to teach people how to do the things that we did and build those relationships, and the business will come. I 100% believe that. So, our value prop will add things as we go. Right now, we have a third-party TC. We'll be adding an in-house TC. We're teaching them how to utilize the referral networks, which is where a third of our business came from last year. It's a little less than that this year, but we teach them how to go do those things so they can go get their own business and they can leverage the team. If a solo agent goes to, if you said, hey, I need an agent in Houston, and a solo agent goes to you, you're going to be like, hey, what's your production? And they're like, maybe, hey, I've done like 6 deals this year or whatever, or 10 deals this year. They're like, okay, yeah, like that's fine. And then someone else comes to you and says, hey, I'm on this, 2-time icon team, and, we're a team of 6, and, we're going to love on them. You're gonna be like, yeah, I want to go with this person, most likely, if you interview like I interview when it comes to referral agents. So I want to teach them how to do that, because at some point I don't want to sell real estate. Like the end game in the next 5 years is for me to be a true CEO and not have to sell real estate.
I love how you guys said your value proposition is just like attention, Mary, like just giving them attention. I feel like that's my wife for our team. And I'm like, okay, you can be I give you leads or I give you attention. Mm-hmm. And I really look at things and say, like, what do our clients hire us for? Like, I feel like my clients they hire me for consulting. They want my brain. They want my skill. They want to know, like, I actually don't show homes anymore. I have a showing partner. And so I realized, hey, like I can get rid of that. And I've got a transaction coordinator that actually does a lot of the paperwork better. So I realized, like, through the process, like the client just wants my skill and my brain. They don't really need me to operate the whole entire transaction. And I feel like that's also, that could be said about the agents and really almost probably anything. But the agents, they're almost the same as the client. Like they're coming in and they're saying, I just need your brain. Like, please consult me. Like I need on a Tuesday at 7 p.m. Like, and I'm going into a listing consultation. I just want to be able to talk to somebody. And I feel like that's with my wife. Like she's on the phone with them. She's like, hey, like, this is what you would do in this situation, say that. And then you realize, like, that's really, that is your value proposition to them, is because it's more than, I think a lot of realtors, when they get into business, they think like, oh, I'm going to have a broker. Yeah. And it's, broker answering your, how to fill out the contract, and then how to actually go sit into that consultation and talk to this person about selling their house and charging them a fee.
Yeah.
Two different roles. And I think like most agents go to their company and they think, oh, my brokerage is going to answer all that stuff. And I'm like, no, like this is kind of we're kind of the buffer of this is how you're going to learn that knowledge. I never even thought of it that way until you just said like attention. I've never had anybody say their value proposition is that. And I thank you for saying that because I think it's what my wife does. And I now see it a lot by you saying that.
I think a lot of teams forget, big or small, that the agents that come to you, they don't just need to make money. They don't just need to make leads, right? They need your help. And the new agents are afraid to ask that because there's a lot of teams and team leaders that kind of just come in like, all right, what to go sell homes, right? And it's like, they don't need that. They still need to be loved on. They still need to have that special attention and detail. And they need to know what their niche is because they don't know it. Right? Because a lot of people spend a lot of time looking for themselves in real estate and like finding like, okay, well, what can I offer that like Joe Blow over here is not offering, right? And so I think that Brandon and I kind of pull that out of our agents and we find like, all right, this is like Steven is not Brandon, he's not me, and he's not Beverly. Beverly is not me, and she's not Brandon, and she's not Steven, right? So we find what drives them. So like Beverly, she's a single mom of 4 kids. That's what drives her, right? Steven wants to make something of himself incredible. That's what drives him. And so like, you have to remember that when you bring people onto your team that like, they're not there to make money, right? Like, sure, money's nice. Like it's a great ad for you as a team leader, but like, we don't bring these agents on because we're like, oh, if we bring on 7 agents, like we're going to make, 50% of all their deals. I don't give a crap. He doesn't give a crap. Like, we're not here for the money. We're here because we came from nothing. And there are people that struggle every single day, and not just in real estate, in the fact of like, who am I? Where am I going in life? Right. So like, why not love on them in the process? Why not bring them in and show them like, hey, you can sell real estate. We're going to show you how to do it really well, but we're going to love the crap out of you while we do it because you're worth more than that paycheck.
That's awesome.
We told Beverly when we interviewed her, we said, I don't hire average. And what I meant by that is that I believe everyone was designed to be great. And we were talking about this, like this conversation we're having is literally the conversation we had with some colleagues last night, some other agents at EXP. I said, if even on a base level, if as a believer, if I believe that we're molded in the image of Jesus Christ and we're meant to be it, even with the fall of sin or whatever, and I'm not trying to get theological here, but if that's the basic idea of who Jesus was and how we were designed to be like him, then that means everyone was designed to be great. Whether they choose to be great or not is completely up to them. But I personally believe that my job is to extract greatness out of people because they have greatness inside of them. They were meant to be great. And so it doesn't matter if an agent that sells 40 homes a year comes to my team, we might not be the right fit, because why are you joining my team if you're selling 40 homes a year? Like that doesn't make sense to me. Like, if originally when I hired Steven, I went through the process in my mind of, well, he's like me, he has a lot of qualities like me, and I kept doing the comparison thing. And then somebody's like, you can't think like that. If you hire him and he's you, then he's going to leave you because that's what you did. You went and started your own team. And so I think meeting people where they're at is such a big part of our business, and just understanding that, hey, like, my job is to extract greatness out of them until they decide to leave. And if they leave, I did my job.
And I think the extracting greatness goes for our clients and our agents, right? So like we all of our clients, it's weird. Almost every single client has a story, and we find that story and we use that story to connect with them. Like I said, only like 5 have been transactions, right? Those are the ones that don't really have a story. They're like, I need to sell my home because I want the cash, right? But out of our 100+ transactions, we're like, oh, okay. And it just kind of comes out like, oh, well, this is why, and we build those relationships and we just find what clicks for them.
Yeah, and I think with like what's cool for us is because we are with the same brokerage EXP, is it's so much simpler to pour into agents that are newer because their exit strategy still has something designed around us teaching them more. And I wonder if that's kind of your guys' thought process. So like, I've actually bringing on agents in the past, I used to have to think like, okay, I'm going to teach them everything and then they're going to go, right? And then, that could have been a scarcity mindset, but now it's like, I actually am more willing to give them everything that I have, because I'm almost like, hey, you're on my team for a reason. And there's stages of life. And they're stages of a career. And I'm like, you're coming on my team for some knowledge and to get to the next level. And I'm actually possibly supposed to grow you to get to my level. And then when you get to my level, now go and then let me teach you behind the scenes. So for example, one of my agents last year, Luis, I think he closed 29 transactions. And if I was at another brokerage, like I would have, and he went from almost nothing to coming on my team and doing 29, right? Well, when he sat down with me, he's like, hey, I want to go off on my own. It was the coolest thing because I like kind of gave him a fist pump and I was like, cool, go on your own now.
Yeah.
And now instead of me being your give you leads and instead of giving you leads, like my consultation and my value to him was giving him leads and training him, right? And then when he went off on his own, now my consultation and value to him was, hey, there's a behind the scenes of all this, of how to get leads, how to track them, how to run a company, how to hold it accountable. And so it kind of goes back to the value conversation, Mary, with the value to him at the time was give him leads, help him with transactions and get to that next stage. And then his next stage was go off on his own. And now I actually get on the phone with him every 2 weeks and I'm still coaching him. And my value to him is I'm showing him exactly how I'm running my company. And he's building his own company now through EXP. And I think that's what's so powerful about like that model is there's no scarcity to it. Like I actually want you to be bigger than me. And that's actually the goal.
Yeah. And we've told our agents that, you know, like Beverly, we told her, we're like, if you come to us in 2 years and say, hey guys, I think I want to do this. We told her when we hired her, we're like, we are never going to be like, wow, really? We're going to be like, great, fantastic. Because we know we did what we were meant to do here, that you're so comfortable and you're so confident that you can go do it. Great, fantastic. Call me, you still need me. Yep. And we told her that. And we're like, don't ever be afraid to say, hey, I think I'm ready to do this. Great, we raised you right, basically.
Yeah. It's so cool to be able to tell people now, like when they're joining the team, like my goal for you is to not be here in 2 years, like not be on my team. And I think that's like so powerful for them to hear is like, wait, like what? Like, no, I'm like, when you come in, my goal is for you to not be on my team in 2 years and you be running your own thing like me, because I think that you should have all that success as well. So like, this is just a stage of your career. You met me for a reason and we're going to build something really cool that you're proud of and that we're all proud of. So,
right.
And that's,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I think it's the biggest value prop. Like the value prop to us coming to EXP was our mentors, the people who brought us into EXP are the second or third highest producing team at EXP, right? And they're in our market. So they're helping us. They're helping us build our team to the heights we want it to grow. And they've been there to support every step. I was literally talking to Jimmy Franklin the other day. Like I called him and he's walking me through some stuff. And it's like, this dude takes time out of his day when he's in Maine to talk to me, right? So that's the value prop is like they're, at least for me, when it's like, hey, if you want to join our team, you want to be part of our collaboration group, I'm not hiding any secrets. There's no gatekeeping here. There was a lot of gatekeeping at our last brokerage, and that was just because they believed heavily in the top 20%, because 20% of the agents do 80% of the work. But there was a lot of gatekeeping from the people who wanted to be in the top 20% from the top 20%. So for me, it's like, I have no secrets. I want everyone to learn what I'm learning. I want everyone to eat at the table because everyone deserves to eat at the table. They just have to work for it.
It's a powerful model. If only people really knew the model. Like, it's just like you said, like with me trying to scale right now and I have like 3 people I go to right now. And I kind of joke with them. I'm like, you guys are like the Uber of answering business questions. Like I'll just send a group text. I'm like, hey, I'm having this challenge. And that used to take me, 2-3 months to figure out. Like I'd have to go research and be online and go to a conference. And now I'm just, hey, who do you guys know that can help me solve this? Oh, call this person. I call that person. I'm like, whoa, like they're actually solving my problem so quickly that you realize like that's how we're being able to compound right now, because every problem's not taking 3 months to figure out. Every problem's taking 1 and 2 days to figure out. You're compounding time. And that's how I think we're going to be able to scale this like quickly. Yeah,
absolutely. And a further testament of that is, and obviously if people listening to this don't know Fred Weaver, you should get to know Fred Weaver, because Fred he is 2 levels up from me in my upline, but I can tell you that Fred and I have, and Mary and I have developed a good friendship, and he's really helped us out a lot. But I texted him the other day and I said, hey man, like, I need to switch coaching platforms. I'm not really getting enough growth out of this platform that I'm in. What do you suggest? and Fred sent me two different people. He immediately texted, three-way texted with two different people, and I found a fit for us. And we love Katie. She's awesome. She's a KW, person. She's not, it's not even like we're solving problems. Like our collaboration group is called Solutions Dealers, and we are solutions dealers. So it's just a further testament to what we're building at EXP is that there's no like, hey man, I don't. Dude, I've talked to Jay Kinder. Jay Kinder is in Puerto Rico and has like 12,000 people in his downline, and he's been like, hey man, what do you need? I'm a resource for you, right? His son literally helps us with KV Core. Like there's no scarcity when it comes. And now I want to preface that there are some people that don't necessarily fit the culture. They're just here to sell real estate. But I'd say 90 to 95% of the people I've interacted with at EXP has been, here's the playbook, have it. I don't want it.
Yeah. My good friend at EXP is Dave, and he showed me the showing partner model. And I still tell people to this day, like I have a salaried agent that shows all my homes for me. And through him teaching me that model, I always tell people, I'm like, that legitimately changed my business life. Like the amount of travel my wife and I get to do right now and know that our referrals are out there looking at homes with people. I'm still doing the consulting while I'm out of state. It's just like, it's a game changer. I don't think people like understand like how, if you just get around the right people and learn their structure, not saying that's the structure for everybody, but that's the structure I was seeking. Didn't know who was going to help me with it. He helped me with it. So it's not for everybody, but it was for me. And plugging into that and having somebody who got me to that level, I mean, it was like absolute game changer. And so, yeah, but and let's go into, because I see you post about some VA stuff. So do you guys have a VA?
We do.
Okay.
We have one. Go ahead.
How does that work? I had one for like 3 weeks until she went MIA, and I was like, hey, what's going on here? And then just no communication from there. So I'd like to just hear a little bit about that as we're coming to an end. But what's your guys' VA like, and what do they do for you?
So before Brandon tell you about our VA, I think the thing that we hear a lot about VAs is what you said, like, oh, I had a VA, and like they just kind of up and left. It really, 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 really makes a difference about the company that you get your VA from.
Okay.
So we're with Sphere Rocket, which is Justin Nelson. And I mean, again, he's very EXP culture, where like I posted something about we're looking to hire a house manager, right? Just make our life easy, leverage. And he commented on it. He's like, no, don't do this, do this. And so he's built this VA company from the ground up during COVID, and he's a millennial just like us. And so he did everything on his phone. Right. And so the VAs that he has are just, I mean, there's always a bad egg here and there. Right. But sure. I'd say about 97%, if not greater, of his VAs are literally just like, oh my God, like you can do that. So, I mean, our VAs, Brandon will tell you about her. She's incredible. But I think the VA itself comes from the type of company that you work with as well.
Yeah. What do they do for you, Brandon?
She's a rock star. She is my social media manager. Now, mind you, this is for the team. So this is for like Mary and I as a business. I went through the interview process, and the way Sphere Rocket works is you interview 13 people in a 2-hour span. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. But ahead of time, I wrote down like what I was looking for. I was looking for a specific skill set. And so Stephanie, and I'm sure she's going to listen to this because she's going to edit parts of this podcast. When she said, hey, like you need to be looking at LinkedIn, it's something that a lot of people, that's where the qualified business is. Like those are good buyers and home sellers. You need to be looking at that. It's not Instagram, algorithms different. I was like, I want her. How much does she cost? I will pay that, because that's just a type of intelligence that like was light years beyond. Like everyone was great. Everyone I was interviewing was a creative and I liked them. But when she said that, I was like, that's the right fit. And so she is our social media manager. She schedules everything through Hootsuite. So she's getting it automated, but she edits reels, videos. She repurposes old YouTube content. I went and shot a podcast at the Mastermind in Florida for Sphere Rocket. And as a result of partnering with that person, now, mind you, she's been organically growing our business. Every week we've been getting, 30 new followers. But last week when she posted that content, we gained 1,000 followers on Instagram, over 100 YouTube subscribers. And I think I have like 50 or 60 new LinkedIn connections. And so her main job is to push our social media presence and continue to make make content. Like she makes, normal content that goes on our Facebook business page and stuff like that. But for me, what I really like is that I can just, shoot videos and send it to her, and then she edits it and repurposes it. Right now, I made a solar panel video. She cut it into 3 parts. She just posted the new one at 9 a.m. this morning, has 7,100 views. The one from yesterday has 7,500, 4,000, 6,000, 15,000, 4,000, 35,000, 5,000, 1,500. I mean, so since she started on our team, our social media presence has gone through the roof. It says that we've organically touched 75,000 different accounts.
Can somebody just, can someone just bootleg that VA? Meaning, like, can they call? It's Sphere Rocket, right? You said.
Yeah.
Can they just call them and be like, "Hey, I want to use the person that Brandon's using"? Like,
somebody tried the other day.
Can it work like that or no?
Somebody tried. Somebody commented or they messaged Stephanie because we added her on Facebook, and so they messaged her privately on Facebook. Said, "Hey, like, do you work for them exclusively?" And she's like, "Yeah."
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and I posted about it, and we have a special group chat with the accelerator clients at Sphere Rocket, and I was like, "Hey, like, how do I deal with this?" And they're like, "Fight them." And I was like, "I'm not going to fight this person." But, I told Stephanie, I said, "I really value this is where I shared my vision with her. I said, I really value what you do here. I said, I know you want to build a team of VAs. I said, we need to start looking at hiring a second person as a value add for our team." So immediately what I did is make sure that I reiterated the vision to her because I value her a lot. She's incredible. She's a mom. She's married. I want her to feel like she's a part of our family. And so I told her, I said, "Hey, my goal is to double your salary every 2 years, right? I want you to start building out a team." I said, "Do you have any friends? If you have a friend that, can intern with us, or maybe they come work for us full time, and, obviously you lead them. So that way I have a value add for my agents. This person can now do their social media content because it's not going to be as heavy as ours." So I immediately, it wasn't out of fear. It was out of, hey, I need to make sure that I, kind of solidify that, like, we value her. And I told her, I said, if somebody approaches you and they want you to work the hours that you're not working for me, I can't stop you from doing that. And she's like, "No, that's too much time. Like, I have a kid." So I get that. It's definitely a concern, like, especially as Mary's going to hire a client care like a client care VA. So I think the biggest thing is, I wouldn't say throw money at her problems, because I don't think that's the case, but I think that just treating her with respect and making sure that she's taken care of. If she needs something, we sent her a cake for her birthday and she's been with us a month.
Yeah.
We want to make sure she's taken care of.
I think it comes back to, again, just like our relationship. So, like, while she probably could have gone to that person and they could have offered her more, I think that for her, it's like, okay, well, they're already, treating me really well, and like they're already pouring into me. And I think that as long as, and there will be some, I'm not going to say like it's not impossible. Like there are some that do that, but I think for us, I think as long as she can see our vision and see like that we're going to take care of her, and I think as long as we kind of start each partnership with any of our VAs that way, like, hey, like, we're going to pour into you. We're going to give you this attention. Like, we're going to give you this, like, we would like to think and hope that they have the same value where it's not about the money, it's about the relationship.
Okay. Yeah. And just so everybody who's listening, VA, that's a virtual assistant. So sometimes we talk shop so much that some people out there are like, "What's a VA?" It's a virtual assistant.
Yeah.
Virtual assistant. So let me ask you one more question before we wrap up. And how many people, Brandon, when you started your network, like when you started, you said like you had a bigger network than Mary. What did that network really look like when you say a number? I find that they're usually much lower than people are imagining out there.
Yeah, I think if I had to put a hard number on it, I would say, like, out of the, I don't know, we're at, like, when we started, I had like 2,000 Facebook friends. And I think probably a quarter of that were like people that I like had a good relationship with. So I do two things. I play Magic the Gathering, which is a card game, and I'm a huge nerd. So I go to conventions and things like that. And then I also used to be in the music scene. And so I have a lot of people that have reached out to me and been like, "Hey, like, I know you do this thing now. Like, I need some help." I was literally at a Magic the Gathering tournament And one of my friends came up to me and was like, hey man, like we're literally ready to buy a house. And I'm like, awesome. He's like, do you guys have time to sit down and talk about it? So we went to dinner the next week and we sold them a house. And, you know, that's just kind of, people know by my social media presence that we sell, and Mary's too. Mary's become crazy good at social media now because she's very transparent and authentic with what she talks about. So people know that we sell real estate. I don't have to go and call someone, hey, who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in the next 6 months? Like, I don't do that. What I do is, hey man, I want to take you out to coffee and just catch up. I haven't seen you in a minute. And then they're like, hey, how's the real estate thing? I teach that to new agents because we have mentees at EXP. Number one thing you should be doing, go find your generals. Who's going to refer you no matter what? And just go take them out to lunch or something. Mm-hmm. And don't bring up real estate. If you don't bring up real estate, it will get brought up because people, if by what you're posting and by what you're doing, people are going to know you do it. You know?
Yeah, I think people are always shocked with how many people it takes to run like a huge business. Like our database, I think that we mail to every single month is, I think 500 people. We probably got like 90 something referrals last year. And that's just like from five, you know, I think people just think like, oh, you must mail to 15,000 people. And I'm like, no. And out of those 500 people, it's probably the same 25 people that just keep referring us all the work. And I mean, we have the spreadsheet, so we know who refers us to business, but I think the point is just for people to know that you need about 12 to 15 people that just have their ears open. And that when somebody at work or at a restaurant or at church says, you know, something about real estate, that they'll go over and say, hey, you should use these people. And so, and I like what you said, like you said, like you kind of reminded me of like, people are always looking like, what's their niche? And they always want to figure out like what their niche is. And I'm like, what do you like to do? You know, like you just said it, you said it yourself, like you're a nerd, right? So you're like, hey, like you leaned into like a niche. You're like, I like these games. I like doing that. And so it's not like you sat there and you're like, what is my niche? It's like, what do I like to do as a human being on this earth? And like, those are my people, and they all end up buying and selling houses. So why don't I just lean into that?
All right. I always joke that if you have enough money to spend on Magic the Gathering cards because they're expensive, then you have enough money to buy a house.
Which actually we had a client who actually sold $30,000 in Magic cards. He was pissed. He sold $30,000 in Magic cards. And it was during COVID, and we told him we could sell his house for more than what he wanted to list it for, and he didn't believe us. And we sold it for like $20,000 more than the list price. And then he was like, why did I sell the Magic cards? And he told his wife he's going to go buy them back. And she's like, no, you're not.
He's got a plaque in their house that says, this room was funded by Magic the Gathering.
Can you bring those in for like a down payment?
Not the cards themselves.
I'm just kidding. We kind of have a joke. I buy houses in Oklahoma, and my lender will be like, there's some people here that will try to like their down payment, they'll like sell a cow, or, you know, they'll sell like some cows or something. And we're like, no, like you have to source the money. It can't just be a cow. And I'm like, oh, you guys are in a different world over there, huh? Like I can understand someone saying like Bitcoin or something like that. But
we've had someone buy Bitcoin too. We've had someone.
He made a bunch of money off Dogecoin. And he literally got like 70 grand off Dogecoin, was able to buy a house that, you know, is crazy. It's funny you mentioned that, Chris. I want to kind of pick your brain for a second, and I would love to see this conversation off the podcast. But that's our next step. Our next, like Frank Klesitz sat us down at the end of last year, and we wrote a goal sheet, and we've pretty much like blown through almost everything. But we want to buy rental properties, and the challenge we've had in the Houston market is that everybody wants retail for their house, plus. Uh-huh. And so it's really hard to go find, you know, the average home out here is starting to get in the 250 range. You know, and you've talked about buying in the Midwest before. I mean, is that where the future of investing is out in the Midwest?
You know, we were fortunate that, you know, we bought in Durant, Oklahoma. So it's about an hour and a half away from Dallas. Right. And so when people ask me that, it was a God thing, man. Like it was a super cool 2 years where we were making a significant amount of income, right? Our debt to income ratio worked out to buy homes. We always had the 40 and 50,000 extra to buy the houses, right? And my realtor there in that city was a good listing agent. She would just feed me the business. And so I was actually buying them at retail. So when COVID was starting to happen in that area, they were like 180 to 210. And so a down payment was like about 40,000-ish. And the mortgage payments were $900, rent's about $1,600. And, you know, I actually, looking at it now, you're like, how could someone duplicate that? Like, could I teach a class on that to duplicate it again? And I actually don't even know. As I sit down, I'm like, okay, it was realtor that was feeding me the listings and looking in Durant because I'm Choctaw, so I'm Native American. So, and I was only looking in that area to buy one. And it was more of an insurance policy for me, right? Like I was just saying, I want to buy a house now to rent so that when I'm 70, if I ever need medical, I could move there into that house and then I could get free medical. And then it just all kept working out. It was like I bought one there and then she had another one. I bought that and it was 3 and then it was 5. So when you ask the question, like, is the Midwest where to go? I'm not for sure, but I know it's all a numbers game, meaning it's how much money are you putting down? And then what's the payment going to be? And then what's the rent going to be? And what's the ROI at the end of the day? So, I mean, are there spots in, Texas, I guess, where you can get a house and have like a $1,100-$1,200 payment and rent it for $1,500, $1,600, $1,700? I don't know. That would be something to search out, but I've been looking in other states right now, and it is really hard to duplicate when you don't have all that match right now. Like I did. Yeah. Like the realtor that's there that was kind of like hooking me up with deals.
Gotcha.
But let's take it. Let's take it off the podcast. I'd be down to, that is my absolute passion. I always say like, I'm really good at selling real estate, but my passion is buying it and I want to own more. And so I'm at another stage now where we're at, we're trying to get more and I'm trying to learn new things now because what got us to where we were with our 20 houses, I don't think will get us to 40. And so I'm kind of at this awkward stage too, where I'm getting on the phone right now with a lot of people that are at that 40 stage because I only was talking to the people that were at the 20, right? And now at the 20, I'm like, it's a different game to get to the next level. And especially since my assistant in-house manages all the properties. So now I'm trying to like reach out to people and I'm like, hey, who do I need? I'm back to student again. I was student 2 years ago and then I was learning it. Now I'm almost in that zone for the last month. I've been student again and I'm reaching out to all these people. I'm listening to more podcasts and trying to connect and figure that out. But yeah, when we take this off, I'll anything I could do to help you out on the investing side, I'd be happy to. That's what I love doing.
Awesome.
But I thank you guys so much for jumping on. You guys are such cool people. I mean, to sell what you guys are selling in the last 2 years of just like doing it on your own is really cool. And the fact that you're doing it through such a cool way. It's like relationships and caring about people and realizing that real estate just is a byproduct of being probably a good human being. And just have friends out there. They know you sell real estate and they'll usually come to you. It's actually fairly simple and is much more rewarding than, making calls all day, talking to random people that hang up on you. Right.
Oh yeah. That's literally soul sucking.
It is for me too. So that's why I went the direction I went, but
yeah.
How could people follow you on social? If there's anybody that wants to send you guys a referral in your area, like how could people connect with you?
At Selling with the Snyder Group across every single platform.
Okay.
The only difference is our website is sellingwiththesnyders.com.
Okay. There we are. Hey, I thank you guys so much for all of your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Chris.
Okay. Bye, y'all.
Bye.